My name is Robin de Kok. I'm a professor in innovation entrepreneurship at the Antwerp Management School, and I'm also the academic director of the Master in Sustainable Innovation and Entrepreneurship, the MSIE, as we call it. MSIE, you need to practice a bit on that. But the program is a hands-on international program that helps participants to learn to create sustainable ideas that are also business savvy. So that's what the program believes, is that if you want to create positive change in the world, you need to combine sustainability with business savviness. We believe that business as usual is over. The world needs positive change. The world is really in need for that, in need for change makers in existing companies, policy makers that think the same way, consultancy firms and so on, but also startup entrepreneurs that can shake up the existing business landscape. So I believe if you sign up for our program, I believe you can invest in the future of your career, because these things will become even more important in the future. And you will also contribute to a better world. For sure. First of all, what we do is connect the students with our alumni base. You need to know that our Innovation Entrepreneurship program is one of the first in Europe. So that also means that we have more than 500 alumni. 500 alumni that set up around 120 startups. One of them is, for instance, Loop Earplugs. I don't know whether you ever heard of Loop Earplugs, but that company is the #1 earplugs on Amazon in the US. So they're booming worldwide. We have Browse, who are making sustainable cleaning products. We also have Board of Innovation, which is a world-leading innovation agency. And finally, I don't know whether you like Cristiano Ronaldo, whether you like him or not. The favorite drink of Cristiano Ronaldo is Captain Kombucha, and Captain Kombucha was also developed by our students. So that's the first thing that we do. We connect our alumni with the current students. And secondly, of course, we also connect them to other local startups in Antwerp. We send our students to Supernova, which is the leading tech and innovation festival here in Belgium, which is also based in Antwerp. And internationally, we go to Milan, we go to Berlin, we connect them there also with startups. So that is the most important thing. Of course, this is not only a startup program, and that's really important to know. A lot of students come in because they want to pursue a sustainable innovation career. And therefore, we also build connections with corporates, with established firms. And for instance, students can choose in their master thesis whether they want to do a startup as their master thesis, or whether they want to solve a sustainable innovation challenge of an existing company. We try to incorporate in every little aspect of the program. If you look at the program, it consists out of 3 parts: inspire, act, and grow. And the tagline of our school is, which I like a lot, is opening minds to impact the world. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the beginning of the year in the inspire phase. So students will come in, and our aim is to open up their minds. So they have a big sustainability course to start from, to learn about the foundations and the challenges also in sustainability. And that could be a fertile ground for ideas. So you don't necessarily need to have ideas to come into the program, but we will develop them together with you maybe in the beginning of the program. And then the second part is the act part. We're not only talking about what is messed up in this world and what are the challenges, but we also want to act. So that means that we teach the students how to do design thinking, how do you make a problem solution fit, how do you do business modeling, strategy, IP, learn about AI, the technologies of tomorrow, and so on. And in the third phase is the growth phase, where you will learn how you can make positive impact on a larger scale. So that means that you learn how you can change customer behavior, sales and marketing, sustainable scaling, learn to raise capital, those kind of things. For sure, the trips are one of the fun things to do also, but they are also great learning experiences. The two trips are totally different. In Milan, we work together with Politecnico di Milano with the design school, Polydesign, which is a very good design school. And we put their design students and we mix them with our innovation students. And they have 3 weeks time to develop innovative concepts for an existing company. It's called the Sustainable Innovation Sprint. These existing companies in the past have been Air France, UNICEF, Proximus, Barco, many other companies. So that's a great experience also to get to know students from Italy, from Milan. The second trip is the trip to Berlin. In Berlin, we're going to discover a totally different entrepreneurial ecosystem. And our conviction is that the place where you develop your idea is not necessarily the place where you will also grow your idea. So you need to have a global mindset. You need to learn about what are the growth opportunities for myself or for my startup idea in other parts of the world, for instance, in Berlin. So that's what we're going to do in Berlin. Every year we have different electives. If you look at the programs in general remain quite stable, but the electives are really contemporary. So that means that we are looking at changes in the world. For instance, geopolitical changes, macroeconomic changes. So that could be a course on that. Or technological changes and their impact on business. That could be a potential elective. Or we also have electives more on leadership, more on soft skills, those kind of leading teams and so on. What is very important also to know, and we're very unique in this, is that we have a global leadership program. And that's a big course that every master student here at Antwerp Management School need to follow. So that means that you get to know other students from other masters, and you need to work together on sustainable challenges. But you also will learn about conflict management, about leading teams, about learning to work with different cultures in the world. And that's something that you normally do not have a lot in the existing curricula in universities. The Global Leadership program is also awarded by the Financial Times. So we're actually very proud on that. I don't think there's a typical track. It's very diverse, but I see 5 groups. The first group are the ones that manage throughout the year to develop a startup with a few colleagues in their class and become a startup entrepreneur. That's one category. A second category are people that say, okay, maybe I don't want to take the lead, but I want to have the startup vibe. Maybe I go and work for a scale-up. Scale-ups need a lot of people most of the times in a short span of time. So they can be great to learn this startup vibe and learn how the founders are doing it. A third category are the ones who have maybe a family business at home. And at a certain point of time, they will have to take over the family business and they want to revamp it. They want to innovate it. They want to make it more sustainable also. So that's the third category. A fourth category are the ones that like to work for more established firms and want to introduce, drive, lead sustainable innovation in those more corporate companies. So that's a fourth category. And the last category, I think, is maybe the biggest one, are the ones that are interested in supporting entrepreneurs and innovators. So that means by going into consultancy. You need to know in Antwerp, we have a lot of smaller innovation and design agencies. we are a bit known for that. But we also have the bigger corporates, corporate consultancy firms like Deloitte, McKinsey, PwC, KPMG, and so on. But you can also support entrepreneurs in other ways, like providing legal advice. We had students coming in with a legal background, understanding how the legal stuff works for innovators and entrepreneurs is really, really important. But we also had IP support, we had people running accelerators. So you also have different jobs there.
I'm Pauline Salez. I am from Belgium, but I moved for my job to Berlin, Germany. I graduated in 2021 from Antwerp Management School, and currently I'm a business designer at Accenture Song in Germany. I found, the experience at Antwerp Management School was absolutely brilliant. So I graduated in Belgium from the Master in Applied Economics, but I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. And Antwerp Management School really provided me with all the possible opportunities that we could have. And it really gave me a clear direction of what I wanted to do. Plus on top all the amazing experiences we had thanks to Antwerp Management School. Yes, so at the master you have the possibility to either establish your own startup, or you do an in-company project. So because I wanted to establish my own startup, we had the opportunity to get in touch with local startups in Antwerp. Also, don't forget that AMS has a huge alumni network, and they, like, I think most of them, they had a startup or they're still working in a startup. So we had that easy access to the AMS alumni. Also, thanks to guest speakers and events, we were it was actually very easy to reach out to the startups. In Belgium, but also international startups as well. My master's was during COVID, so we were very afraid of whether these trips would happen or not. But we were so lucky that we pushed all the trips until the end. So first we went 3 weeks to Milan, then we did the innovation sprints. So we went through all the business and service design methodologies, and there, what I learned there is the power of working with people with diverse backgrounds. So we had a very international team. We were working with people with the business background, with the design background, and having such a diverse team really makes it happen. That's where the magic happens. So I learned to apply certain ideas into very tangible prototypes, and in a very time-pressured sprint to be able to iterate. So that was very, very interesting. And also during the Milan experience, I got to know what business design actually is. And before I joined Antwerp Management School, I had no idea what that is. And now I'm a business designer at Accenture. So that's really amazing. And then we went straight to Stockholm for a couple of days, and there we had to research on the success factors of a company. So what factors influences the success of a startup and a company? And so we analyzed the ecosystem, the support of governance, and everything except what's happening within the startup, but all the factors around it. So that was also very insightful, and there I learned that the ecosystem and where you want to start your company has a huge impact on the success. So you can either continue with your startup, or you get access and you get connected to new startups. So you might join already an established startup or scale-up, or you can just join a corporate, whether that's in Belgium or abroad. And yeah, so you can become an entrepreneur or you can become an intrapreneur. Like there are a lot of different options and a lot of different opportunities thanks to this master.
My name is Gabriel. I'm originally from Germany, but I live in Belgium now. Because I work here now due to Antwerp Management School, where I graduated last year, so in 2023. And yeah, I work now in a scale-up here in the region. It's close to Antwerp, which you could shortly sum up as a green tech scale-up. So we work on, we manufacture a green technology in order to make farming more sustainable by helping them with their methane emissions. And there I work on developing the service department in order to make it scalable and to have a profitable service department with a high customer satisfaction. We had many encounters throughout the year through different days where we did like local tours, for instance, to startup incubators, and where we met then founders of rather young startups, and we could always have like a Q&A session, really go deep into what are the problems they're trying to solve, how are they solving it, and also be quite critical about it, which was always nice because it's, you always have a typical founder story, but we could really like dive deep into it with them. So that was very nice. But we also had sessions where startups came into AMS and did a presentation on what they are doing, and it was sometimes we had like very small and young startups, but we also had more mature ones that were rather in the scaling phase, such as, for instance, Loop earplugs or Deliveract, which are really scale-ups that are going, that are becoming, or maybe are unicorns. So they have a valuation of more than €1 billion. So it's really quite big ones, and you have always very different challenges. So that was I think very interesting to hear about these different stories. And we also had founders who did not succeed with their startups, which was also a good thing to hear, because you always have these success stories, but it's also very good to sometimes hear that people do fail, and how are they coping then with this failure, and how they are like still pushing and looking for that next thing that they can work on, and how are they personally dealing with such a tough situation. So that was one thing. And then we also had our trips where we our growth strategy trip, for instance, where we met a lot of startups, but I think we're going to talk about that later again. Sustainability is, in general, one of the guiding principles, I would say, at Antwerp Management School. So a little bit of a difference is that since when I graduated, I think the focus has been even more on sustainability. So when I studied, it was the Master of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and now it's the Sustainable Master of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So I think the curriculum has changed a little bit, but it was already when we studied, it was a high focus on, in general, on your big master project, where you are working on your own startup or an innovation project, where you are always urged to keep sustainability in mind, to work on a solution that is helpful for our environment and not detrimental. So there was always a focus, but we also had these courses on sustainability. So more in parts, more on a high level, how from a managerial perspective, how can you help to to work towards a circular economy, for instance. But also we had it was called the Action Learning project, where we worked with students from different study programs. So, for instance, I was working with students from global management, from human resources, from global supply chain, and we together had to work on a project to have a positive impact on the local environment, be it in terms of like a human improvement in order to drive, for instance, diversity, or also really to have a better impact on preserving the nature ecosystem, for instance. So there were these different levels, and in general, I think what maybe also describes it a bit is that there is this guiding principle that Antwerp Management School doesn't want to train the best managers of the world, but wants to train the best managers for the world. And I always like that saying, because it's it gives you the perspective that you want to work towards a positive future. I've been to Milan. That was a study trip that we did in the early spring last year, and that's a part of the course Business Design Thinking. So where we first had some rather theoretical input on the business design thinking method. But then we had this project where we went to Milan and worked together with the Master of Strategic Design at the Poli Milano. And we did a deep dive of 3 weeks really into a practical problem, a real world problem of an actual company or actual companies. It was several ones, and where you do the whole process from it's the double diamond, it's called, where you start from a problem point of view. What are the problems that arise, that need to be solved, and doing a lot of research, qualitative research, doing interviews, but also quantitative research where you send out surveys, you do a lot of observations and all such stuff in order to then come up with a solution that at the end of the 3 weeks we all pitched to the companies, and then they had a jury, being professors, but also the leaders of those companies that were proposing these projects. And then they actually chose one or several ones of the solutions and started to implement those. So that was very insightful, because it was such a real problem. It was not a theoretic project which after completion would stay in someone's drawer or so, but it was they actually wanted us to help them solve a big problem for them. And so there's a different sense of urgency that you get, and it's very it helps to in your drive to work on a good solution. But it was also, again, a very diverse group. So you already knew the people from your program, but out of a sudden you have to work with a completely new team of people that you don't know, that are also very international and have different backgrounds, and you need to align, you need to find everybody's strengths, but also what maybe people are not so good at, and then you need to really align the group and get a good team in order to be able to do a good project. Because if you don't have this foundation, this basis, if you don't have that covered, if you cannot align on that, then you have difficulties. And that was a big learning, which I think you will always stumble into also in your actual work life then later, that sometimes you need to work with new people, and you first need to get used to each other. You need to align on a personal level before you can drive good results. There were a lot of different topics that you could dive into. Me personally, I did a more in-depth finance course because I come from an engineering background, and I did already have some courses on financial topics. But for me, I wanted to make another deep dive into that, and so I chose this course, and I did really enjoy it. Because we had like the full days of only working on financial topics, and that was really helpful for me to better understand it and educate myself more in that sense. I would sum it up into two groups, I would say. So as it's called, Sustainable Master of Innovation Entrepreneurship, you have like one group that goes a bit into the innovation direction. So you have that work rather in corporates and that go into the innovation departments, or do consulting, business design consulting, for instance, and that rather drive innovation on a corporate level. And then you have the people that go more towards the entrepreneurial direction. So from the time when I did the master, there are now people that work on their startups still, but there are also people that went into corporate jobs. So it's both. And for instance, for me, as I said, I work in this green tech scale up now. So it's still in an entrepreneurial stage, but it's also maturing now. So an entrepreneurial spirit is still very good, because you need to solve a lot of day-to-day problems, and there are not shaped processes on how to do things. But yeah, it's so it's also evolving a bit towards a corporate, I would say. But what unites the people that graduate from this program, I would say, is this entrepreneurial spirit. So no matter if you work in a corporate or you work on your own startup, you want to change things. You want to change the status quo, and that's also how it is for me. So I work in this job now, but I still have my eyes on starting my own thing and working on the side on other projects. So that is something I would say that where you're really empowered to in the masters, to have the courage to work on your own thing and to start a company where you can have a positive impact on the economy, on the people around you. And that was probably the most powerful learning that I had during my time at Antwerp Management School.